Alright, now, normally I would put a screw down in there right next to the leg, or the copper tubing inside the hole, especially when the hole's a little bit bigger than the copper tubing is, just to lock it in. Normally I would do that and then screw it down. Well, see, that's going to be sticking out too far, so I don't want to do that. So I'm thinking I'm just going to do this. A fondue stick right there. Put the sharp edge down there, but after I've dropped a little bit of glue in there. I've never done this before, so I'm just trying it out for the first time to see if it works. If it doesn't, I haven't lost anything, just a little time. And just tap it down inside the hole. Now, that seems to be working fine there. And what I'll do is I'll come back after the glue dries and clip that. I'll do the same thing on this side. But this will just lock it in better. There, now we're anchored. Yeah, it has the same feel as the photograph, so I'm rocking and stocking. Let's see. I cut off a length of copper tubing. And here's a kind of neat little trick. You can find the center of something by balancing it on your finger. That's the center. Now I'd bend it in half, and the reason why I want to do that is because, see, here's the marking I made for where the shoulders will be. And I want to have it come down a little bit so that it's anchored onto the main frame, and so I want to bend it out from there, thus, and I want to make sure that the bend is right on. Tap it right down so I got a little sharper curve on it. Now on a male, the width of the shoulders ideally is 2 heads wide. Female, it's 1.5 heads wide. It's, again, the formula the Greeks came up with. So I put that center area right there, right on a little marking of the head, and there's the other head, and there's the other end of the head. Now I don't want to make it as wide as that because I have to subtract for clay, so I go back maybe a 1/4 of an inch or so, or a 1/4, or just enough that the clay will fit on top of it without protruding through the biceps. And I think I'm going to make this guy bare-chested. I'm not going to put a shirt on him, only because I think it'll be a lot more interesting if he's got nothing on top of his body. Alright, now, again, I want to mark, I want to get this other shoulder the same width, so I go like that, I measure it, and grab it right there, and I bend it. Now, to the elbow, ideally, is 1.5 heads from the point of the shoulder, where what is the upper part of the arm called? See, now this is where my lack of education in artwork comes in. I really don't know the terminology for the different bones. My uncle, Ed Fraughton, he knows all of them. I mean, he could tell you every tendon, the name of every muscle. I just never could do that. He's a famous sculptor, by the way. Very famous. A lot more than I am. So now, I bring up the arm. And because he's raising his arm, his shoulder's raised up. In other words, that shoulder will go up and this shoulder will drop down. And then from the elbow to the wrist is one head length. And that's right there. And looks like his hand is holding out like that, and I cut off the excess. So now we got the arm. Alright, now we got the other arm. He's holding a spear with the other arm. Let me see what kind of position that arm is going to be in. And see, the robe is just draped over his arm. It's like he stood up enthusiastically in a story, and the robe has fallen off of his shoulder, but it's stayed on his arm. So his arm, I'll work that out. Let me get to marking the thing first. Okay, 1.5 heads, about right there. And what I want to do is I want to double check and make sure that that is the same length as that, because the last thing you want is to have one arm longer than the other arm or shorter than the other arm. Which means if one arm is longer, the other one naturally would be shorter. Okay, another head length for between the elbow and the wrist, and about 1/2 a head length for the hand. Not even 1/2. I usually go about 1/3, because I can always add clay. I just don't want copper tubing poking out. Alright, now it's time to shoulders right there where I marked it before, and I tape it on. Now some people will buy those pre-made armatures. I don't like to do that because that forces me to make it the same size as the armature, and I don't want to do that. I want to determine the size, not to have some companies determine my size. Now he's thrusting it forward, so he's leaning forward like that and thrusting, and he's bringing this arm out with his elbow in kind of like that position. Okay, I'm holding the camera and I'm going to turn the thing so you can see it. So that's the way it starts. Just a wire frame to basically hold up whatever material you put on it, and in this case, like I said, it's going to be wax. And I've got to let this part down here set up so that it won't be falling down and forward and out and everything else.